What's going on, everybody? This is Mr. Legarreta here, chairman leader with iMarkets Live, and I want to let you know right now that me personally, I've been in the network marketing industry for about 4.5 years, and it's definitely not been the easiest ride for me. You see, I was once in your position, just sitting there, thinking, well, I don't have a network of 30, 40, 50 people. Can I really get to a six-figure income? Do I have to know a lot of people? What if I go into a different marketplace and let's say hypothetically, I don't know anybody there? There's been many chairmen in this company, including myself, where we didn't have the biggest following, right? And we built a network from scratch. There's no difference between you and I. There's no difference between you and them. The only difference is information you haven't had access to. So I'm about to give you some major concepts, some major strategies that if you use it to your advantage, I promise you, we will take together your team into the thousands and your business will never be the same again. There's gonna be a slideshow. Grab a sheet of paper, grab a pen, and take this information seriously because it could change your situation. All right, leaders, so I wanna introduce you to this slide and the 3 kinds of markets you're going to be facing when building your iMarkets Live business. The first one is considered your warm market, the second is your hot market, and the third is your cold market. Now, looking at number 1, I want to inform you that your warm market are people that you personally know and are in contact with, right? So when you're really building your business, this is actually where you want to start, where you're going to see the quickest success possible. But I also want to let you know, even though it's where you start, it can't be where you end. You see, your warm market is simply just practice, because at the end of the day, they might get you to Platinum 600. Your circle of influence might get you to maybe Platinum 1000. But if it's one thing I know, it's one thing I've heard, is that you can make money with your close friends, but you're going to make a fortune with people that you don't know. So you start here, this is just practice, right? But it's not your end all be all, and you get better here, but we transition into number 2, which is your hot market. So you get enrolled into iMarkets Live. This is your people's people, right? And let's say you enroll one of your really good friends called Jay, right? So you get started, you enroll Jay. If Jay enrolls somebody, right, that friend knows Jay personally, right? That's his warm market. But it's considered your hot market only because he does not know you. You get to start on a clean slate with that person. You see, one quote that I heard that I want to share with you says that you can never be a prophet in your own land. So very difficult to recruit people you already know, because they know you for who you are, but they don't know you for who you could be. They see you for your past mistakes, but they don't see you as that leader that's going to lead millions of people, right? But if you meet someone that you don't know and you talk to them, then it becomes easier to bring them on board, right? Because you can change your persona, right? You can act as a chairman 10 and they have that kind of perspective on you, and it's at a higher status. Number 3 is considered your cold market. This is people that you obviously do not know. Maybe you never met before. Maybe you met them once, but very little connection or interaction with these people. And I want to let you know right now, this is definitely the most difficult market to tackle. But ladies and gentlemen, leaders, listen to me closely. This is where your millions are going to be made. Get excited, because in any industry, you're going to make more money with strangers than you ever will with your best friends. You can't hide away from this market. Does that make sense? You're going to have to eventually face it head on. And I'm going to teach you exactly what to say, how to say it, when to say it, and how to talk to these people to bring them on board into your network to raise your net worth. But understand, again, your warm market, just practice, right? It won't make you massively successful, but if you get better here, transitioning into your cold market, and while you work your hot market, again, you will start finding your success with the practice, transitioning over to the cold. You bring new people on board and your organization can start hitting the thousands, okay? When you're introducing people to these 3 kinds of markets, you must understand there's 3 kinds of people. You have red apples, you have green apples, and you have rotten apples. You see, red apples are people that are open-minded. They're ready to get started. John, I saw iMarkets Live and I'm ready to get started right now. No questions asked. Sign me up. Send me the link. I'm good to go. Green apples are people that have questions, right? So I have a couple of questions. I'm a little bit skeptical. I'm a little bit hesitant. I'm still open-minded, but you need to convince me a little bit. You need to add value in that conversation to really get them on board. And finally, you have rotten apples, that people that are not interested at all. So I want to teach you right now with rotten apples, negativity wants attention. If that person is not willing to check out the information, or they're being very, very skeptical or very negative, guys, never burn a bridge, but end it off on a good note. Be like, hey man, I appreciate us having this conversation, but this might not be for you. Maybe in the future, or maybe something else. But as of right now, this can't work out. I appreciate your time, and we will definitely stay in touch. Never burn the bridge, because people always come back. People always change their mind. But understand that you will face rotten apples, and it's all part of the game. The majority of people will be green apples, right? So you got to add value in your conversations. You got to convince them a little bit, right, as to why iMarkets Live is for them. And I'm going to teach you how to do that. But then, you're going to have your red apples, and this won't be the vast majority, but you're going to have a few people that don't really got to think about it and that they're good to go. Now, when it comes down to edification, right, and the follow-up, I'm going to run you through this quick little training on how to do both very effectively at the six-figure level. Now, John, what is edification? Edification is basically talking your upline up or speaking highly of that person, right? So what do you do when you introduce your prospect, your friend, to your upline leader and mentor? Well, in this edification triangle, you have you at the very top, you have your upline at the bottom left, you have your prospect at the bottom right. Between you and your upline, there's respect. Between you and your friend and prospect, there is trust. That trust factor is something your upline does not have with your friend or prospect because they don't know them. But something you're going to create between your upline and your friend is credibility. And the reason you want to do that is because before you put your upline mentor on that phone call, on that video chat with your friend to get them enrolled into the iMarkets Live business, you need to create this so they can respect and there can be credibility with that relationship, right? So before I tell you exactly what to say and the different concepts, if you look on your bottom left, I want to teach you the 4 personality types, right? Number 1 is called the shark. Someone that's very goal-oriented, someone that's very sharp. A whale is someone that has integrity and they always put other people first. A dolphin, right, is all about the fun. It's all about experiences, right, and living in the present moment, and they are very social. Someone that's an urchin is someone that's very detail-oriented. They are very factual. They need to know everything about everything. You see, in these 4 personality types, everybody in the world has a dominant trait and they have a recessive trait. So right now, if you're talking to me, right, I am someone that's for sure shark, goal-oriented, money-hungry, very sharp, right? And my recessive trait, my number 2, is for sure an urchin, very detail-oriented, very factual. Now, you need to understand this right now. Is just because you're 2 personality types does not mean that the person you're speaking to is. So what I want to let you know is that you must know and understand your audience, because the better you get at speaking their language, right, the more they're going to understand this and want to do it, right? If you go out fishing, you can't get a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and, put it on the hook and throw the, cast the line out. It's not going to work. Right? You gotta feed the fish food. You gotta feed the dog food, right? So if you know your audience and what kind of person you're speaking to, right, the more effective the conversations you're going to have. Now, this translates into the concepts of edifying your upline leader, right? So the first, bullet point says address your upline only as a mentor and business partner. I would not say upline. I would stick to, hey man, this is my mentor, my business partner, but in no means necessary ever say, this is my friend or this is my boy. That's not gonna work. This is a professional setting. You must have the proper business etiquette to really make this work, okay? Number 2 is knows exactly how the money is made. Maybe your upline leader, maybe they're not at the chairman 10 level. Maybe you don't wanna disclose, an income claim. that's completely fine. You know what I would say? If my prospect is a shark, I would say my mentor is leading a global trading team. And again, that can work for the shark category. If they're a whale, if your prospect is a whale, your friend is a whale, right? I would tell him, hey man, my mentor has a heart of gold. If they're an urchin, I would say they're knowledgeable in every aspect, right? It's more than the money to them for a whale. So you need to understand these are certain key things that are very generic that you can use to edify your upline leader to the prospect that you have seen the business. You create that credibility, and if you put your mentor on a pedestal, the easier it's going to be to have your prospect go through that enrollment process because they trust you, the credibility has been built up because of you, right? And now they have both things necessary to get them enrolled into the business, right? And if you do this effectively multiple times throughout the day, weeks, and months, then you can enroll many people and build your iML business to the way that you want it to build, right? Now, taking these things into consideration, once you have these people saying, hey man, I would love to meet your upline, I can do, let's say 8 o'clock, and you start booking that appointment, I want to let you know right now that the fortune is in the follow-up, right? Have you guys ever been to a dentist's office or a doctor's office and they maybe give you a follow-up call? They're like, hey John, you know, you have your appointment today at 5 p.m. Please make sure you don't forget. And sometimes you might forget. And you're like, wow, thank God they called me because, you know, I forgot. Now I'm going to show up. Ladies and gentlemen, the fortune is in the follow-up, right? So let's say right now it's 8 or 9 p.m. and you're making your calls, you're edifying your upline to set up a meeting for the very next day at 8 p.m., right? So they say, yes, John, I'm good to go. I'll see the business over a webinar tomorrow at 8 p.m. We talk it out. No worries, man. We'll talk tomorrow and we'll be good to go for 8. Perfect. In the follow-up, there's 3 keys I want to give you. Number 1 is make sure you message them before noon at 12 o'clock your time. Only because if you do not do this, they're going to forget. In the morning, people already make up their schedule for the day. So shooting them that quote-unquote good morning message, right? Here's what I would say. Hey man, good morning. You know, I'm excited to show you the information today, right? I'll shoot you the webinar link maybe a little bit later out throughout the day once I get it, and we'll be good to go for 8. But you want to assume the close. I'm excited to share with you the information, right? I'm looking forward to having you on the webinar so we can do business together. Never ask them, hey man, are you good to go? Are you sure you're coming? Don't do that. Don't leave any room for error. Assume the close. I'm looking forward to. I'm excited to share with you the information about our business so we can do it together, right? And we can go out there and attain financial freedom with however you want to end it. Bullet point number 2 is give them the info about 3 to 4 hours before. So let's say it's about, 4 or 5 p.m. I'd be like, hey man, I just received the webinar link. I'm going to shoot it over to you now, right? Here it is. So again, that's another reminder because you might text them at 12, but again, they might forget. So I would shoot them another reminder, shooting them the information for the in-person meeting or the webinar link. And finally, the last reminder is a 15-minute reminder, 15 minutes before the webinar. Again, people are forgetful. So I'd be like, hey man, I'm about to get to the webinar right now, right? Just making sure you're getting on so we can do this together, right? 15-minute reminder for an in-person meeting, right? Hey man, I'm almost at the place. I'm about to park up, right? Where are you at, right? So just making sure you have these 3 key points, follow up with them 3 times before the actual meeting happens or webinar happens. And this way, you increase your chances of that individual showing up to your presentation, and you should be good to go with that. When it comes down to warm market recruiting, I already know what you're thinking, right? John, I watched the launch video, but you know what, John? Let me tell you right now that there are friends I haven't connected with in a very long time. And I understand. You can't just call your friend and be like, hey man, I haven't talked to you in 4 years, but you know, I'm in a rush right now because it's not gonna work. So I want to give you this 4-step process to bringing them in and setting up an appointment so we can get them there to take a look at the opportunity and for it to be a very smooth process. Number 1, it's not in a rush. right? Number one is actually catch up with them. And there's a very simple formula for this. It's called FORM, FORM, which stands for family, occupation, recreation, and motivation. On the next slide, I'll go over exactly what this is, but we're going to use this formula. I just want you to write it down for right now. Family, occupation, recreation, motivation. Number two is they're going to be wondering, well, John hasn't spoken to me in over 3 years. Why is he calling me? If you know in the back of your mind, they're going to ask themselves that. Number two is address the elephant in the room. I'm going to say, right, hey, look, I know that we're catching up right now, but one of the main reasons why I was calling you, that's the key. One of the main reasons why I was calling you is because I wanted to share a business idea with you, which is number three in your pitch. I wanted to share a business idea with you that we can do together, right? You're going to talk about, I'm going to teach you right over here on the right hand side what you can say, but your whole entire goal is not to pitch them completely over the phone. It's just to raise curiosity, raise interest, so you're able to leverage your questions into booking an appointment. You see, you're going to book an appointment, at Starbucks, go grab coffee together, go grab lunch together, but you want to make it very simple, right, for them to meet you up and not only just see the business, but hey man, right now I'm kind of busy, but let's set up a time for us to grab coffee or lunch together and we can talk about this in person and we can also catch up. So number one is catch up with them. You want to form them. Don't just make it about business, but see how they're doing, right? Address the elephant in the room. One of the main reasons why I was calling you, right, is because I want to share a business idea with you. Number three, I'm going to go over the pitch on the right hand side. And number four is once you get them interested, leverage your questions into booking an appointment, right? And setting up a coffee date or a lunch date with them. Very simple. And now when it comes down to the pitch, here it is, right? Recruiting concept and the hook. Here are things that I would say or I would use as a concept, but I don't want to give you a strategy because strategies are temporary, but a concept is forever, right? First bullet point says, I teach people how to make money from their phones. If somebody were to ask me, John, what do you do? Right? A very catchy line would be, I teach people how to make money from their phones, right? If they say, well, how? I would say, well, have you ever heard about Forex? They're going to say, no, I haven't. Well, maybe explain a little bit about what the industry is. This is the largest market in the entire world, right? Where we make money from our phones, trading currencies. Many people are making money from home doing this, right? X amount of dollars per month, per week. It's insane. You should definitely check it out. Man, John, that sounds amazing. Why don't we get together and you can tell me more about it? Yeah, for sure. Let's make that happen. So that's the first bullet point, something you can use. Second bullet point says, right, you can have your money working for you versus you working for your money. Third bullet point says income diversification. Be a serial entrepreneur. Don't just be one-sided. You want to be multi-dimensional when it comes down to your income. This is a digital online business that you can do outside of school, that you can do outside of work. It won't interfere with what you are currently doing. Next bullet point says you can work full-time on your job, but I'm going to start helping you work part-time on your fortune to help you retire your mom, right? To help you travel the world. Whatever you want to do, whatever they want to do, you want to address that. The one thing I've always been very good at is sharing success stories. You see, Mr. Julian Kushner, Mr. Nick Gomez, Mr. Jonathan Lopez, when I got started with trading, I didn't know anything about anything. And let me tell you right now, people will connect with you not on what you do, not on how you do it, leaders, but on why you are doing it. That's the key. And if you talk about success stories and what this business model has done for other people around you, your upline mentors, your business partners, you want to share that. And again, when they ask you, well, how does the business model work? How did they use this financial vehicle to get to a 6-7 figure income? I'm glad you asked, right? Book the appointment. So you want to leverage your upline social media. I would tag my business partners and my friends on your upline leader social media. Hey, this is the mentor I'm working with. You should definitely connect with us so we can do business together. Most likely your mentor has a phenomenal social media page And just by your friends seeing that, it's going to add credibility and it's going to add trust and it's going to add a certain level of belief. So they're going to want to check it out by leveraging your upline mentors, right? And the reason why I put Forex and explain all the way at the bottom is because when they have questions, don't be so vague, leaders. Explain a little bit about Forex, right? Just a little bit. You don't have to go over the entire thing. But after giving them a taste and they want to know more information, you want to cut the conversation short. Hey man, I would love to tell you, right now I'm a little bit busy, and you go into booking that appointment so we can talk about it in person. It's 90% visual. There's a time and a place for everything, right? Right now is not the right time. Right now is not the right place. We can't discuss a six-figure business over the phone, right? This is like a haircut. You kind of have to show up to get it, right? Just use different phrases that I just mentioned. I would write those down in order for you to leverage the questions, book the appointment, and let it be a professional exposure, right? Make these conversations with reconnecting with friends more about catching up and piquing interest. And then you're going to explain everything in full detail when you see them in person. And that is the most effective way to bring people on board that you haven't spoken to in a while. Moving forward into the cold market recruiting aspect, this slide is going to really give you everything you need to know to become a professional at doing this aspect of our business. Now, moving left to right, I want to give you some pointers and the proper mindset when it comes down to networking with people you've never met before. So the first thing I want to give you is this first bullet point right here that says give people a feeling of importance. You see, I read this book that completely changed my business, changed my life, and it is called How to Win Friends and Influence People. You see, people always want to feel important. So let's say I'll give you an example. If I have a friend that, let's say, loves to dress sharp, and I go up to him and I'm like, hey man, looking sharp today, bro. I love the shoes, I love the pants, the dress shirt. You're looking very crisp, right? One compliment like that is going to set this man on fire, and he's going to like me more. You see, people like people that make them feel good, right? So what you want to do is you want to give them a very genuine compliment. As you guys can see with that little tip right there, compliment them in a very genuine way, because if they like you, then they will do business with you. Number 2 is make recruiting about them, never about yourself. You see, if you make it about yourself, you start getting emotional about what they're going to say. But if you start making it about them and what they want and what they need and solving their problems, then recruiting becomes a lot easier because the spotlight's on them and it's how you can help them out. Don't strive to sell people, strive more to be of a consultant and how you can help them out. Bullet point number 3 is if you become interested, you become interesting. And this is very unique. Again, this is from How to Win Friends and Influence People. And this is so key, leaders, so key. If you become so genuinely interested in what they're doing, how their day is going, and how their life is playing out, then they are going to reciprocate that same kind of action. So if I'm having a conversation with someone I've never met before, I compliment them and I'm like, hey man, so like, what do you do? As far as occupation, your family, where are you from? And I talk to them. They're going to be like, wow, man, I feel so good. The one thing you need to understand is that people love talking about themselves. So the more they talk about themselves, the more they like you, because they get to open up to you. After you asking them all these questions and you engaging in a conversation, if they talk to you so much, you're going to be like, they take a deep breath. They're like, wow, that felt amazing. Well, what about you? So the one thing I want to tell you is the pitch is not the pitch. The pitch is actually you becoming so interested in them and what they're doing, how their life is playing out, that they become interested in you. They end up liking you. So they reciprocate the same kind of actions that you put onto them. So that third bullet point, again, very, very key. Now, let me tell you right now, number 4 is also very important. There's a certain conversation sequence that we have, because if you don't know how to have a conversation, you can't sit there and just ask them and badger them with multiple questions. It's gonna sound like an interrogation. What do you do? How do you do it? Do you make enough money? Are you not happy with your job? Leaders, it's just too much. So I had the QQSS system, right, that's going to really help you out with this, right? It stands for question, statement, story. So don't ask 4 or 5 questions in a row, leaders, right? It's going to come off more like an interrogation, not a conversation. So you want to be very fluid and you want to be a master, right, at working with people. Ask them 2 questions, right? Maybe give a statement about what you guys are talking about and go into a story. You see, when you go to catch up with friends, you know, at a bar or just in general, even over coffee, all you're doing is sharing stories. So having a sequence of question, statement, story is going to make you masterful. It's going to make you very fluid, and it's going to lead you into building effective rapport, which is our last bullet point. Building rapport, right, is not just talking to people, leaders. Building rapport is not talking to people. It is building common bridges. You see, you can talk to someone all day, but that does not mean you're bonding with them. That does not mean you're making a strong connection with that person. The only thing that builds a strong bond or connection is how relatable both of you are, right? So you have to find what's called a definite affinity with that person. If I'm on an airplane, right, and I'm building a rapport with someone and I'm engaging in conversation, I want to talk about things that we have in common. Because if he likes football, I like football, I'd be like, wow, bro, what team? He's like the New York Jets. I'm like, oh my God, Gary Vee likes that. And we start engaging in that he's going to want to talk to me because it's something that they like. And if we connect on that, it doesn't matter what I say, but if we talk about the right things they like that I like, there's going to be that strong sense of a bond, that strong sense of a connection, right? So you must relate as much as possible because they're going to end up liking you more. And if they like you, they will end up doing business with you. So these pointers and this mindset is so important. Make sure you write everything down, all the details, to use it to your advantage. Now, when it comes down to engaging conversation, you know, people are going to tell me, well, John, like, I don't know how to catch up. You know, I'm not a professional businessman. I can't have these conversations. And my answer is yes, you can. Of course you could. I'm going to teach you what to say and how to say it to have effective conversations and building rapport. And that is called form. We went over it on the previous slide. Looking at the right-hand side, we have the technicals, and I want to teach you our form method, which is what to say and how to say it. I understand that many of you aren't professional business people, so I want to teach you how to engage in professional conversations. So again, form stands for family, occupation, recreation, motivation. And the first one for family, if you're talking to someone brand new, you're not going to be like, hey bro, like, you know, how's your mom? Because that's not going to work, right? You're going to talk about, hey man, where are you from? And whatever country they say, you might not be from there, but maybe somebody you know is from there. Your goal again is to stay as relatable as possible. So if let's say somebody says, John, I'm from Colombia, I'll be like, man, that's amazing. My best friend is from there. Man, I love your culture. I love the soccer team. Whatever you want to say to relate to them, say it. But if you start doing these things, you're going to appreciate that you appreciate their culture. If you appreciate their culture and where they're from, they are going to most definitely appreciate you. Again, if it's someone that you haven't spoken to in 3 or 4 years, then talk about siblings. You're going to be like, hey, how's the fam? Right? How's your mom? How's your dad? How's your brothers and sisters? And again, if you appreciate things outside of money, they're going to appreciate you at a deeper level. So talking about where they're from, if you don't know them, and appreciating where they're from and why they're from there and their culture, right, makes you a much more likable person. When it comes down to occupation, you want to find out where they work, right, why they work there, right, do they feel like they're getting paid enough, right, and do they actually enjoy being there? So what I want to let you know right now is that you can't ask too many questions on this part. Be like, hey man, do you like what you're getting paid? Why not? Why don't you do something different? Don't badger them, but all you're doing is really collecting information, and if they do or don't enjoy it, if they do or don't get paid enough. Collect that information to see what can you help them change. Number 3 is recreation. Outside of money, what do you do for fun? You play basketball. What are your hobbies? Do you go, I don't know, ice skating, rock climbing, whatever you do as a hobby, maybe play pool. You want to find that out and connect with things outside of money, outside of work, because if you do that, they're going to see you as a more humane person that's not just all about the work, right? But it's something much deeper than that you're coming from, right? The last one is motivation and motive. Why do you do what you do, right? Do you want to do this X, Y, and Z career to retire your parents, to, let's say, save lives, help people out if you're a nurse or a doctor or a firefighter? So this sense right here, this motivation part is more about the purpose and finding out why they do something, and you try to relate to that as much as possible. So if you can connect with, hey man, I want to impact people too, we can go on that same mission together. That's very key. So make sure you find a definite affinity when building rapport with them. Relate as much as possible, become interested in them. Question, statement, story. Make it about them. Give them a feeling of importance and understand that if you do all these things all together, the mindset and the technicalities, then again, they will want to hear you out because you're saying the right things, and how you feel about what you're saying is very confident because I'm teaching you exactly what you have to do so you can move forward into that place of solving their problems and putting iML as a solution in the center of their life, right? All you're doing in form to finalize this is you are simply, again, connecting the dots, right? You're simply collecting information so that you can use it as leverage to talk to them, right? When you're going to pitch them eventually, when I show you this on the next slide. You see, the whole goal, the entire focus is to raise their curiosity. It is to pique interest, provide a solution, and get them to take a look, right? So there's 4 simple steps on doing this. But before I give it to you, in the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, right? They say that the sweetest sound anybody can ever hear is the sound of their name. So don't address people by bro or what's up girl, right? Or what's going on brother, right? Which most people do. Address them by their name. Something happens to people when you address them by their name where they just simply light up. But the first thing I would do in any conversation is I would open it up with a compliment, making it real, making it genuine, because I'm going to give them that feeling of importance. And if I give that to them, right, they're going to feel good and they're going to like me more. Wow, I appreciate you complimenting the way I dress, my dedication to the gym, my dedication to my passion, whatever the case is. Address them by their name, open up with a compliment, and move into forming them, right? Family, occupation, recreation, motivation. All you're doing simply in step number 2 is you're collecting information and you're building rapport. Well, John, what information are we collecting? You see, no matter how perfect somebody's life is, if somebody's very wealthy, maybe their problem is that, they're not going to the gym. Maybe somebody does go to the gym and they're very fit, but they have problems in their finances. Nobody has a perfect life, leaders. So what you must understand is that you're collecting information, right? And seeing what problems they have in their life so you can then provide a solution. And then you can simply tell them, if you take the solution, here are the benefits of doing X, Y, and Z. So you form them, collect the information, build rapport with them, be as relatable and likable as possible. Find the problems they have in their life, right? So you can then provide a solution and then state the benefits. Number 3, right, is the pitch. I went over the different kinds of concepts for recruiting you can use, but you're going to say which one fits that person the best. There's many people with different demographics. So whichever one that you wrote down that fits that person the best, right, you're going to state that. And then right under that, I put leverage their pain or pleasure. So you can't just say, hey, Alejandro, I want to teach you how to make money. You can simply say, hey, Alejandro, I want to teach you how to make money because I know you told me you're not happy with your job situation. So if I can help you make an extra income, would that be something you're open-minded to? Wow, much different right there. Attach your pitch to something that they want to change, which is the pain, or to a pleasure that they already have. You see, I know you're going to the gym, and I know that sometimes the supplements can be very expensive. So if we were to work together on what I'm doing, right, if I were to show you that to help you get more money to be able to pay for your supplements, would that be something you're open-minded to? But making sure you attach your pitch to their pain or pleasure is the difference between an amateur networker and a professional networker, right? If I have a sister and she's laying down in bed and I'm like, hey sis, can you go get me water? And she's like, I'm not gonna get out of the bed, you go get water. But if I say, hey sis, right now I'm feeling kind of, bad, I'm feeling kind of sick, can you please, you're the best sister in the entire world, can you please go get me water? That's a little bit different. So again, making sure you leverage their pain or their pleasure, which is really the information you're collecting when you're forming them, is the key to success to getting them to see the information. And finally, we go into step 4, which is booking the appointment, right? Your goal, again, even when you're building rapport and talking to them, is not to explain iML. It's not to go over a 40-minute conversation talking about everything about our products, right? It is to simply get them to take a look in a professional way, professional exposure at a meeting right after you're done talking to them. So I put 3 things here. Number 1 is create an FTC. FTC is an acronym and it stands for false time constraint. You see, once you pitch them, they're going to have many questions. But what you're going to do is you're going to leverage the questions and be like, hey, those are great questions. Right now, I'm a little bit caught up, but we can always book an appointment to meet up together so we can go over the information. So just say you have to go do something. You're kind of caught up. You're kind of busy right now. So you avoid the questions and leverage your questions to go into the meeting, right? So FTC, false time constraint. Second bullet point is basically NPOG. NPOG stands for no promises or guarantees. I want to tell you right now that some people, right, they won't meet up with you because they feel like there's a commitment. Oh, I feel like if I meet up with John, I have to sign up. And that's simply not true. I would say, hey, look, when it comes down to us meeting up, I want to let you know right now, there's no promises or guarantees that you're going to do anything. The only thing I do want you to do is take a look. It might be for you, it might not be for you, right? But that takes away the stress or the pressure of them feeling like they have to commit to something, and they'll be more comfortable beating you up by using the no promises or guarantees method, okay? And finally, the proper way to set an appointment is by using DTP, which stands for day, time, and place, okay? So before you leave the conversation, right, you create the FTC, I gotta go, but let's make sure we set up the time for this day, at this hour, at this place. If you don't have that DTP set up, it is not considered an official appointment. Let me tell you right now, be a professional. Set up the day, time, and place. If you leave that meeting without doing this, the meeting will not go through. Guys, I've been in network marketing for over 4.5 years. I can tell you right now that those 3 things are very important. This 4-step process is key, right? All you're doing is talking to people, right? Collecting information, forming them, building rapport with them, finding out what problems they have in their life so you can then provide iML as a solution to money, to freedom, to whatever they're going through. And when you state the benefits, state success stories of people you're working with hand in hand in this company, they're going to want to hear it out. Again, your goal is not to explain it to them. It's to leverage your questions, right? Leverage your conversation into booking an appointment by using the FTC, the NPOG, and the DTP method. With that being said, I truly appreciate every single person tuning into this video and using this information to your advantage so you guys can go out there and really blow up iMarkets Live. We're about to see some massive success, but make sure you take this information down, memorize it, internalize it, but most importantly, start implementing it and taking action. I would start connecting with about 30 people a day using these methods. And I promise you, you doing this consistently, you will be at the chairman 10 or above level very, very soon. Guys, Thank you all so much. Connect with me on social media, Mr._Legarreta. I'll have it down in the comments below. Take care, stay blessed, and I hope you guys have success using this video, guys. Take care.